go. All right, trying something a little new here. First off, we can take these off. All right, so a couple thoughts on today. I'm recording this at home, so if you hear kids screaming, dogs barking, you know what's up. So why am I tracking the glucose? Biggest reason I'm tracking the glucose is I suspected I had some slight insulin resistance going on, very minor. But every time I go and get my morning blood work for my last 6 blood tests, it's always like right at 100 or right over 100. And it's the pre-diabetic area. The reality is I can't ignore it. Ignoring it would be completely irresponsible. So why is that happening? One of my assumptions with that is cortisol spiking in the morning. When I do blood work fasted, I go in right when the lab opens, 7 o'clock. It's my, that's usually when I work out. Cortisol spikes, insulin or glucose dumps. There's a relationship there. So the question is on that, how do I mitigate it? And it seems after today, now I need more days. Today's a one-off, that coffee might be influencing my cortisol. So when I wake up, come to the kitchen, I have a glass of water, my green drink, and then I make a double shot espresso, and I go to work. So that's at 3:45, 4 a.m. So I'm getting that caffeine is hitting my system right then. So if there's a cortisol response driven by the caffeine, it makes sense why that my glucose levels throughout the morning is a little elevated. Today, that did not happen. And that's the first time haven't had that happen in a long time. And last night, overnight, because yesterday was Monday was the first full day without coffee. Then Tuesday, then last night, my blood glucose was the lowest average throughout the night it's been since I've started tracking it. So 2 things with that. I stopped caffeine. Ask B, no. I stopped caffeine and I started a new probiotic that is supposed to have a strain called Akkermansia that can help modulate glucose and help with carbohydrate digestion breakdown. So this new probiotic I'm taking is, they've actually done actual clinical trials, and no supplement company ever does clinical trials. So that was my draw to it, to give it a try. And they had really good success lowering people's A1C with it. So I started that a couple days ago. Not sure that quite hit the system yet, but those are the 2 variables right now that potentially influencing my glucose. The reason that I'm paying attention to this, because I have a higher cortisol than, not higher cortisol, I have higher cholesterol. And it's something that it's always been elevated. It's not something that's ever been super stressed, I've been worried about. But it's something I have to keep on my mind. I'm going to be 40 this year. The more arterial exposure, that's the right words, you have over life, it gives opportunity for them little LDL particles just to latch on to things. Plug the holes in that, it's an inflammatory response, atherosclerosis. And then those little LDLs, when you have them in your blood, they'll just go in there, grab on, hang out, cause issues. So being 40 this year, I'm trying to get to 100 and be legit. That's the goal. I need to be here for my kids. I need to be here for my grandkids. And I need to be functioning for them, for you guys too. So that's why I'm trying to make sure I have this stuff on lock. Not something I'm just, thinking about. I'm truly trying to lock this stuff down, master it, and take control of every aspect of my health. So optimization here is key. I'm not trying to stay in the ranges of these lab tests. I'm trying to be in the optimal pieces of them. So when glucose or your insulin, for insulin, is elevated, it can cause an inflammatory response in the body. When you have more inflammation in the body, well, you can have a situation like what Claire's going through. It can also lead to increased risk of atherosclerosis and opportunities for, atherosclerosis to develop. So if you have higher cholesterol and low inflammation, you're in a better spot than high cholesterol and high inflammation, from how I'm interpreting all this. So for me, inflammatory markers are way down, so I'm not super stressed, but I'm trying to optimize, so I want to bring down the LDLs. With that, over the last 8 weeks, I had increased my saturated fat. Went up quite a bit. We're on a low carb diet, anti-inflammatory protocol. I increased my saturated fat too much. I went a little over the top. Well, when you have your saturated fat going in your body, your liver has to deal with it. Your liver has to break it down. And so in the process of your liver breaking down saturated fat, it doesn't have the resources to handle the mitigation of clearing out cholesterol. You have receptors on your liver that reach out and grab cholesterol, yank it out of the system. When you have excessive cholesterol, now your body needs cholesterol. You will die without cholesterol. But every cell in your body knows how to make its own cholesterol. It does it itself. So not exogenous, but cholesterol in your bloodstream is not necessary, and it's not necessary at high levels. Like, there's no reason to have massively high levels. There is risk there. So getting that down, your liver filters it out, filters it back into your intestine, and you're supposed to poop it out. Well, you can also reabsorb it through your bile duct and through your small intestine. You can reabsorb cholesterol back in. So when your saturated fat's high, you can't your liver's working on breaking that down. It's not work to use as energy, because as a low carb, still training a lot, so it's trying to break down. This is where it's busy. So it's not able to do the work on pulling out cholesterol. For me, this is very individualized. Like, some people have no issues. Some people do have issues. I obviously have an issue. And I also could be a high absorber. I could be reabsorbing cholesterol also. So 2 variables going on there, but either way, my cholesterol, my small particle LDLs went from like 1100 to like 2300. 100% increase in my small particles. Talked to my cardiologist friend. He's told me, just cut back on the saturated fat. You'll be fine. I agree. I'm not terribly worked up about it. I did the math and I was excessive on the saturated fat. Pull that back down, 200 calories per day from saturated fat. So I'm still getting a good amount of fat, but it's back in its bucket. During that time, my blood glucose was not normalizing, even on a high fat, low carb diet. But recently, increasing my carbs, again, back up, 200-300 grams a day, mostly fruit, but I've added some oats back in, and I've had some Ezekiel grains, some sprouted grains again. And then the last couple days, with my blood glucose normalizing, cortisol potentially getting better regulated, I think that I just found a light switch on helping my body's metabolic health to another level, which is what I'm trying to achieve. Yes, I think I'm healthy. Yes, I think, I'm doing well, but I'm chasing perfection. Arguably obsessing about it, but I'm also trying to educate in the process of me doing this, helping you guys out and being transparent about it. So that's why I'm testing out. I want to increase my deep sleep. The more I sleep, the better I recover. So that is a catalyst behind that's the initial catalyst behind doing this caffeine holiday. And then the benefit was also seeing the improvements in these other areas. Hopefully, when I do blood work in 3 months, when I do my next set, I'll have cholesterol back in check, optimal. My fasting blood sugar will be in check and optimal. And then potentially my sleep quality dramatically improving to where I'm just feeling even more awesome than I already am. So that's the gist of it, you guys. If you got questions on that stuff, again, I'm not a medical professional. This is my own experience and how I'm treating myself and doing it myself. All right, I'm just sharing my story, trying to help you guys out. Ask questions, get your blood work, take care of your health. Love you guys.